Mugo, well, essentially here the government is asking those companies, Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google, for example, to voluntarily let the government review their new AI models up to 30 days before those models become public. Now, I do want to note that upon first read, it appears this is not a mandatory legal requirement. That's going to be some kind of pre-licensing agreement.
There is one sentence in this executive order that tells you exactly what it is. It is the sentence swearing that it is not licensing. Orders that are not licensing do not usually need to say that, because of what the rest of it does. Every frontier AI model built in America now goes to the federal government first, up to 30 days before anyone outside gets to touch it. Which models count is decided by a classified process, and by the time it was signed, it had already happened, twice. This is what the document actually says. On the 2nd of June, the President signed Executive Order 14409. Its title is Promoting Advanced Artificial Intelligence Innovation and Security.
The President signing this landmark executive order earlier today in private. We're still pointing
in private. No cameras, no ceremony, for an order that reaches every major AI lab in the country. Here is the mechanism in plain language. Read the timing carefully because it is doing quiet work. The 30 days do not run before public release. They run before release to trusted partners, which is earlier, sometimes much earlier. And the trusted partners are not chosen by the lab alone. The order has developers select them with the government. Then there is the question of which models are covered at all. That threshold comes from a classified benchmarking process, run by the Treasury, by the Secretary of War, through the National Security Agency, and by Homeland Security through CISA. The benchmark itself is not published. You cannot read the line your model has to stay under. And then, near the end, the order turns around and denies itself. Nothing in this section, it says, authorizes a mandatory licensing, pre-clearance, or permitting requirement. So it is voluntary. In the text, the law firms reading it for their clients used a different phrase, a voluntary framework they wrote with mandatory implications. He was supposed to sign it a month earlier and did not. In May, the signing was set, and he pulled out at the last moment. He told reporters he was worried, not about the models, about the competition, that putting rules like this in writing might slow American companies against China. A month later, he signed it anyway, and the biggest labs welcomed it. Microsoft, OpenAI, and Google called it an important step, which raises the obvious question: would they have said no? We do not have to guess, because this had already been done to two of them. Start with a model most people have never used and never will. Anthropic built it to do one thing: find holes in software. It is called Mythos, and Anthropic has never released it to the public. Instead, a small group got it early to patch their own code before anyone else could read it. Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon Web Services. The project was called Glasswing, trusted partners, months before the order invented the phrase. Then it was pointed at the government's own machines. Anthropic ran a joint exercise with United States intelligence agencies. In June, an official confirmed the result. The model found vulnerabilities inside highly sensitive classified systems. The effects showed up in public data almost immediately. About 1,500 high and critical severity vulnerabilities were published in a single month, more than 3.5 times the previous record. So the government moved in the middle of June. It ordered Anthropic to block every foreign national from using the model. Anthropic could not separate them cleanly enough, so it shut off access for everybody. One phone call from Washington, and a frontier model left the market. But here is the detail everyone skipped. The government did not find the danger. Elon Musk was asked about exactly this, and he corrected the record.
I think they should have that power, but it wasn't as though someone in the government figured out that Mythos had some scary cybersecurity risks. It was Amazon. Amazon highlighted this, and Amazon called the White House.
A company found it. A company reported it. The government acted on what it was told. Remember that when we get to who is supposed to be reviewing these models now, the second receipt landed 9 days later at the other lab. OpenAI was finishing its next model. The White House asked it to slow the release down. Two offices made the request: the National Cyber Director and the Office of Science and Technology Policy. The concern was that the new model could do what Mythos did, so OpenAI did not ship one model. it shipped 3. Luna for speed, Terra for everyday work, and the flagship, Sol. Sol went only to partners the government approved, not a ban, not a license. A tier list, with Washington holding the pen. The restrictions were lifted on the 8th of July. 2 labs, 2 models. Both held, both released, all before the framework existed on paper. That framework had a deadline, 60 days from signing, the 1st of August. It was finished on time. It was not published. In the first week of August, the largest technology companies were invited in to read it, behind a closed door, before anybody else saw a word of it. The people who write technology policy for a living found out afterwards, so there is now a process every frontier model in America passes through, and no public rulebook for it. Which brings us to the part that made policy analysts sit up. Early access is valuable. That is the whole point of it. And the list of who gets it is not public. The Center for American Progress spelled out where that leads. One party's committee could be named a trusted partner before an election. The other could be left off. Nobody is saying that happened. The point is that nothing published would stop it. And this White House has already shown what it will do to an AI company it is unhappy with. It banned Anthropic from the entire federal government, and the Pentagon labeled it a supply chain risk, a designation that, until then, had been used on Russian and Chinese suppliers, never on an American company. The same White House now sees that companies' models first. There is an argument on the other side, and it deserves to be heard properly. The White House AI czar makes it in one breath.
Here's the problem that we have is that there's currently 1,000 bills going through state legislatures right now. Over 100 measures have passed. Some of them are contradictory, and it's creating this confusing patchwork of 50 different state regulatory regimes. And that's hard for innovators to follow, especially small startups, little tech. It's very hard for them to go to 50 different states and try and comply. So what the president has called for here is a single federal standard for AI regulation.
1,000 state bills is a real problem. One national rule is a real answer. And a model that finds holes in classified systems is not a hypothetical worth shrugging at. The disagreement is not about whether somebody should look. It is about who and whether you get to know. Musk's version of the answer puts the labs in the chair instead of the state. Competitors get a week or two with a new model, and they can recommend holding it. His reasoning was simple. The people who can actually judge a frontier model already work at the other labs. So where does that leave the order? On paper, nothing is required. There is no license, no permit, no pre-clearance. The order says so in writing. In practice, 2 of the 3 biggest labs in the world have already handed over a model and waited. Ask yourself the practical question. Which lab wants to be the first to say no? To a White House that decides export rules, federal contracts, and what counts as a national security risk. A rule nobody has to follow, that nobody has refused, is not really a request anymore.